Hey everyone, I'm Mike DeLong. Welcome to the Tater Talk podcast, where we explore the fascinating global potato processing industry. We'll share stories and insights about flakes, fries, chips, and crisps, and everything in between. Let's dig in. Welcome back to the Tater Talk podcast, and today I'm joined by Mark de Boevere. He's the founder and managing director of PulseMaster, and they are a leading manufacturer of pulsed electric field machinery for food processing and other applications. But Mark is going to tell us a lot more about that and how it applies to potatoes. So Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Of course. I'm glad we get to meet again. It's been a little while since we've last talked in person at a trade show floor. And you're coming to the podcast today from where?
Holland.
You're in Holland today.
Yes.
Now, Holland is where you're based, correct?
Correct. We are situated in the south of the Netherlands, the south of Holland, near the town of Eindhoven.
Near Eindhoven. Eindhoven comes up in the potato processing world quite a bit.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
Why is that?
Yeah, there's a lot of manufacturing activity, a lot of manufacturing facilities. There are also processors nearby. A lot of potatoes are grown in the south of the Netherlands. So, yeah, in the Netherlands we have a lot of food machinery companies.
Yeah, it comes up a lot in conversation and industry news. So, I mean, today we want to talk about PEF technology and PulseMaster,
Yes.
but I want to start with a bit of your background. So you founded PulseMaster, but let's go back a while and share with us how what your background is and how you got into this PEF technology field.
Yeah, pleased to share it. Yeah, by training, I'm a mechanical engineer. I have experience in companies, making food equipment, traditional food equipment. That's how I started. Yeah, at a certain moment, you decide to start your own company. This was also with more, call it, traditional technology. A next step was that you get acquainted with, call it, emerging technologies, like high pressure processing, pulsed electric field. And at a certain moment, we decided to try to become the number one in one technology, and that's pulsed electric field. So PulseMaster, we are an original equipment manufacturer for pulsed electric field systems for food processing. That's what we do.
And you've been in this field for how many years now?
Talk about 16 years now. 16 years.
Specifically in PEF technology?
Yes.
Excellent. And I'd like to talk about, how PEF technology applies in the potato processing world and where PulseMaster has installations around the world. But first, let's talk about what PEF is and does to things like potatoes.
Yeah, I always try to explain that in a very, very simple way. And
Good.
then I use my hands. I use my fingers. So when my fingers are visualizing an enlarged potato cell,
and
then at the inside you have a membrane keeping the content of a potato cell together. So what do we do with pulsed electric field? We drill minuscule holes in the membranes of the potato cells. So not in the cell walls. Cell walls are permeable, but we drill with electrical pulses, minuscule holes, think about 50 to 100 nanometer diameter size, very tiny. So that's what we do. It's a pure physical treatment of the membrane. And this will give the potato processor a lot of advantages. It starts with, after the PEF treatment of the whole potato, and it can be a peeled or an unpeeled potato, but after PEF treatment, you need, say, 40% less cutting force. You will have smoother surfaces, nearly none to zero feathering. So less breakage. No feathering, smoother surfaces will give you less oil usage in your fryer. You can reduce your blanching time. You can optimize your drying time. You have several advantages in your fryer, like less oil usage, less fines. Yeah, this is product and process improvement for the potato processor, especially for the French fry processor. Because, like you know, when there was no PEF, potato processors were using big preheaters. A lot of water usage, a lot of steam, and also some disadvantages. So preheater out, PEF system in. And that more and more people in potato processing consider PEF technology to be, call it, a really disruptive technology in a positive way. It really can change your process and product.
You list a tremendous amount of benefits on a French fry, on a French fry line, and you've been at this for 16 years. Would you say that PEF is basically a standard part of a processing line now, or is there still opportunity to adopt the technology further in the industry?
In potato industry, it's a standard piece of equipment. In other applications, talk about olive oil processing, tomato processing, sugar beet processing, and a lot of other vegetables processing. They started to open the PEF chapter. And a lot of companies started to explore the benefits of PEF. Mm-hmm. But in potato industry, worldwide, companies have adapted PEF technology as a standard.
Mm-hmm. And then what other applications in the potato processing industry are there for PEF? Not just French fries.
Correct. Think about chips, crisps processing, but also in the world of potato specialties, more and more companies start to discover that PEF can benefit.
What are some benefits in, say, the potato chip making industry?
Potato chips, you can enhance your cutting. You have smoother surfaces. You better control the thickness of your chips. And you will have less oil absorption. A lot less oil absorption. You can make more crispy crisps. So don't forget recovery. Recovery is really an important item on a daily basis in French fry processing. But we experience that in the world of chips processing, crisps processing. Sometimes it's a neglected subject.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's money. That's money for the processor.
Yeah, recovery, for those that aren't familiar, is basically the percentage of finished product you get utilizing, all the raw product coming in. So, are you converting 50% of the potato into a finished product or not? And it's big money to increase that by 1% or 2%. On big operations, it could be millions of dollars per year per percentage point, especially in French fries. So there's a tremendous opportunity if you can improve recovery by different tools. PEF is very promising, and I suppose, in my experience, has proven effective at enhancing recovery. In your experience, Mark, when PEF is planned from the beginning to be installed in a French fry processing line, what are your conversations with processors like around maybe changing the size or capacity of drying equipment, blanching equipment, frying equipment, those downstream processes to actually optimize their capital spending now that PEF offers some of these benefits that you mentioned, where processing is maybe quicker or easier downstream from the PEF?
This is a very interesting question. And in fact, now I'm looking at you and your company, and you could play a more prominent role in this. Because often we experience that, the purchase of a PEF system, it's part of a whole line and part of a lot of purchases. And not only in French fry lines, but also in other applications, a lot of customers don't make that link. They have a desired capacity, input and output capacity for their line. So they calculate all these pieces of equipment. And only a few will ask you, but what if? What if I apply PEF? Can I make my blancher smaller, for example? This is really still territory where a lot of improvement can be made.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I share that sentiment as well. I see, brownfield is different. If you're plugging a PEF in replacement of no preheater or a prior water preheater, then you live with the equipment downstream that you have. You can maybe dial it back, retention times or temperatures. But my perception is that, and experience is that, there is opportunity to downsize some of those processing modules and result in some capital savings.
We have customers, they install a PEF and they reduce their blanching time with 10% from one moment to the other.
10%, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen similar numbers. And your comment about oil uptake is very interesting. And people that are frying need to listen to this. Oil quality is extremely important in frying, as you know, Mark. And if you install a PEF on a line that with a fryer that's sized for non-PEF product, you will absorb less oil. It'll reduce the turnover time, increase the turnover time of your oil, which can lead to oil quality degradation at a faster rate because you're not making up as much fresh oil. So it's extremely important to right size a fryer for the upstream process, and for the amount of oil that's going to be absorbed. So it's just something to keep an eye on if people are seeing that, maybe you've installed a PEF and are seeing that you're running into quality issues on the oil, that weren't evident before. So yeah, I agree. I think there's an interesting amount of work there. I know some of the world's French fry processors are attempting to figure that out, but there's a lot of competing priorities on their docket, So it can be difficult to focus on that. And not everybody builds a new line that often. I mean, you've seen, I'm sure, a lot of development in the last few years in new construction, new French fry lines, new potato chip lines, but not one single processor is building one every 2 years or every year, typically. So there's not a lot of opportunity to really test the theory about, or opportunity to have that conversation, I guess. Like if we're buying we're going to install a complete greenfield line, we have an opportunity to install a PEF. We have an opportunity to look, can we make all of the equipment downstream 10% smaller? I'm just saying 10%. Without having the data, that's a tough decision to convince people to make because you don't want to, I guess, constrain yourself on capacity.
Correct.
Yeah. So we went down a bit of a rabbit hole there, but you mentioned potato chips, and I've been working in the kettle chip and flat chip industry as well as French fries. And some colleagues in that industry have shared mixed results on maybe kettle chip processing and when it comes to PEF. And I'd be curious to learn about your experience specifically with kettle chips and on how effective PEF can be or not in that application.
You can, in kettle chips processing, you can reduce frying time, frying oil temperature.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's more easy in kettle chips to fine-tune your process, for it is not continuous.
Mm-hmm. Those are extremely
Yes,
those are extremely interesting benefits for a kettle chip line where the frying profile for that batch process is so specific for that texture and for that cook. It makes me wonder, Mark, if there's chip processors or French fry processors out there that aren't as familiar with PEF, they can get a hold of you but I'm curious, how do you help them test an idea or test their product or their production to evaluate the potential benefits of PEF?
for example, we have a Pulse Master pilot scale unit. It's a batch unit, and we call it our Solidus. It's designed to do trials with solids like potatoes. So you can do trials with one or a few potatoes up to a few pounds per batch. But you can PEF treat multiple batches and run a larger batch of potatoes in a kettle fryer. So that's an opportunity.
Is
Or
that
we can,
unit, I'm sorry, Mark,
yes,
the Solidus unit, is that something that is available to move to a client's site so they can test
yes,
in their line?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
with air fryer. Yeah, okay.
correct. It has the size of an electrical cupboard.
Okay.
So it's very compact. It's standalone. It's plug and play. So in fact, we have sold them to institutes who are using them for research. Yeah, some of these institutes are pretty successful in doing trials and product development with industry. So that helps, especially for customers who are nearby. It's fairly easy for them to do proof of principle trials to get a feeling for the technology, and then move into a next step to validate results coming out of that research in a continuous system. So customers who want to make a next step, we also developed a compact unit. That's a PEF system for capacity, say 1 to 10 tons per hour at PEF. And that's a unit, in fact, also plug and play. And you can connect your cooling water, your power, your compressed air, that's it. And you can run it. It's a transport unit and a generator on one frame. You don't need to install a high voltage cable, for example. That's already done, that's finished. So that also can be used for trials.
Very interesting. So,
Yep.
these people just need to reach out to you, and we'll make sure that we include links to reach you when we're in
Thank you.
the podcast posts and all that. But that's good. I mean, a processor doesn't need to take you at your word that this is going to work or benefit their application. It's like reach out to you and see if there's a trial that can be organized and
Yeah.
do some testing. Yeah.
Correct. I think I can add the following.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at the situation worldwide, I mean, today there are so many potato processors, so many, call it well-known names. I mean, some of our customers have half a dozen industrial systems, PEF systems running. We even have one customer who has more than 20 industrial PEF systems running. Yeah, I mean, it's a proven technology in potato processing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you always can say, yes, my varieties are a little bit different, or my end product is a little bit different. I still need to do some research. Agree, but it can be done. But it's not that you start from scratch, that it's a new technology for a new application, and we don't know. We know a lot today, altogether.
Right. Well, these days there's, the better for you snacks and foods are having a
Yes,
moment, right? Whether it's different oils or organic raw materials, things that make this food, more clean label. Um, what's Pulse Master's role in enabling these food companies to, access cleaner ingredients or better for you recipes um, in snacks?
we can supply them the equipment to do the trials,
Mm-hmm.
or we can assist them in contacting a good institute where they can do a trial.
Mm-hmm.
If they need some more, call it fundamental research, for example.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that the processing benefits earlier, less oil uptake, maybe just less processing overall, which maybe retains more of that original raw materials characteristics,
Yep,
right?
correct.
So, do you have customers that come to you specifically to enhance the healthy or the beneficial profile of their products, like
Yes,
the better for you products?
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Give an example if you can without saying names or anything.
Products that are better for your health, that's for all customers interesting, because often these are also more expensive end products.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are products with an interesting margin for the processor. If you succeed in making these products, you have less competitors for that specific product, then call it a standard product. A lot of people are making standard products, a lot of competition. So if you can position your new healthy product with the correct marketing, you have an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
We've seen in the fry industry, for example, some new entrants, or I would say smaller processors, have the ability to create this unique product, this better for you French fry, for example, and be competitive in the market because it's something unique, right?
Correct.
One flip side of that is that they're often a smaller processor and, they can't access a huge amount of capital to install the latest technology. But hopefully for them, they'll get to that point.
Yeah.
But my point is, I know that PulseMaster makes a range of PEF equipment sizes for different capacities, right? And I wanted to touch on just your range of capacities. You mentioned the compact unit. Well, you
Yeah.
have huge capacities as well. So
Yes.
just touch on the models and
Yeah.
give listeners a sense of how much product you can put through some of these machines.
Yeah. We have sizes. I call it from 1 ton to 100 tons an hour.
100 tons an hour is,
100 tons an hour.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's 100 metric tons per hour for our
Yes.
American listeners. Yeah.
Correct.
That is a huge capacity, but the unit is not huge, right? I mean,
Correct.
it's approximately how long and how wide?
When you talk about our PEF transport units, the
Yep.
treatment units where you have the treatment chambers, the load, then our industrial size systems, they always have the same length, the same height, but the width can be different. So when you talk about length, talk about, say, 5.5 meters.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about height, talk about, say, 2.4 meters. And then the width depends on the capacity. And then a transport unit can work in combination with one pulsed electric field generator or with two generators, depending on the capacity.
And what is a generator? At a high level, what is a generator?
A generator, good question. A generator, a pulse generator, that's the unit that is making the pulses. So I see
But
my battery is
it's not a fuel-driven generator like for emergency use or backup electricity. This is generating pulses of electricity that are
correct.
doing the drilling as you described.
Correct. So the generator, you make the pulses. Part of the generator is a stack with what we call slices. And you have all kinds of semiconductor components to be able to make a pulse. And for example, you're charging capacitors in parallel, and then you discharge them in series, and that's a pulse. And a pulse has a pulse shape. And that's what you send to the load. And then the pulse jumps from a plus electrode to a minus electrode through the water, through the potatoes. And that's what we can do up to 500 times a second.
Okay. That sounds very sophisticated. Yep.
Yeah. So you make a pulse in a generator, you send it to a load, your treatment chamber, and that's where the magic happens. That's where you drill the minuscule holes in the membranes. And you do that within 1 second.
And just to paint a picture for those that aren't familiar with a PEF machine, this is essentially a conveyor which dips through a tank and the potatoes are on that conveyor.
Correct.
And when they're underwater in that tank is where this treatment chamber is
Correct.
located. It's where the poration happens.
Correct.
So it's basically like a dip tank for these potatoes.
Yeah.
Other applications are different for liquids and so on. But
it's good. It's good that you mentioned this because that's what a lot of people don't realize. You always are PEF treating a potato water mix. You need the water to guide the pulsed current when it jumps from a plus to a minus electrode. If this should be air, potatoes in air, you would have flashovers.
Mm-hmm.
So you need the water. The water is important. The water management is important. So sometimes I summarize it like this. Pulsed electric field equipment, PEF systems, it's high-tech in food, but it's not laboratory equipment. You have potatoes entering your tank. You're looking for a balance. You have a conductivity that wants to go up. The water temperature wants to go up. You all have to manage that. So you're looking for an optimal balance. And I think we're pretty successful in doing that. We have proven technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's also technology that is not that easy to copy, we see in real life. You don't have that many companies that say we can make PEF systems for potato processing.
I'm aware of maybe 4 in the entire world. You would know better than I
Yes,
do.
correct. Yeah. Correct.
So this has been a very interesting conversation. I've learned a bit of new things about PEF technology. You've got PEF units installed in quite a few countries. I
Yes.
understand. How many exactly?
I can give you a quick summary.
Yep.
Of course, when it is about potato processing, countries like Canada and the US are very important, very important. We have multiple systems over there, but also South America, Brazil, Europe. We have systems, we have customers in countries like the Netherlands, Germany, France, the UK, Poland, a country like Serbia. We have customers in China, in India, in Australia. We are an OEM, original equipment manufacturer for PEF systems worldwide, for solids processing and for processing and for liquid processing.
And where do you manufacture the units?
We manufacture the units in a plant. We have our plant near Eindhoven. That's where we manufacture all the stainless steel work. So the PEF treatment tank units, the cabinets for the generators. Pulsemaster, we are a Dutch-German company. We are a Dutch entity because we are situated in the Netherlands, but we are a Dutch-German company. We have Dutch people, German people on board. And in Germany, we also have, call it a shop and an office, all the stainless steel and the PEF treatment tank units, the generators. We transport them to Germany, that's say 300 kilometers from the plant where we are situated in Holland. That's where we make all the electrotechnical components. So we design everything ourselves, the whole system. So also the power supply units, the slices, that's all made over there. Then the systems are completed, tested, and sent to the customer. That's how we operate.
I'm curious to know about in the French fry industry. I'm curious to know what kind of inquiries or volume of inquiries you're seeing from emerging regions like parts of Asia or Africa or the Middle East.
Very interesting question. I think at this moment we can say, and I think this is experienced by a lot of equipment manufacturers for potato processing. I think today we can say that when you talk about Europe and North America, that's pretty slow for all kinds of reasons. It's pretty slow. Emerging markets like customers in India, China, yeah, that's the new Wild West, if I may use that word.
A good way to put it.
I mean, a lot of new smaller customers, a lot of larger players who are constructing new plants. So that's really growing. And I mean, that's nothing new I'm saying now, but since 1-2 years, a country like India, from a potato, a French fry end product importer, they have become an exporter.
Yeah.
And that's really, call it on the sales side, that's quite disruptive, it looks like.
Yes, it's proving to be. And I would argue it makes it even more important to find opportunities to improve efficiency and reduce total delivered cost by processors everywhere. But those that may be seeing volume pressure, now that products are being exported from these other countries, these emerging markets, into traditional markets of other exporters from North America and Europe. I mean, it's just that much more important to find and adopt technology and practices to improve efficiency and remain even more competitive.
Correct. And let's stay positive. I'm also traveling a lot, so you see different places. Yeah, there are plenty of countries in our world where consumption of potato products, frozen potato products, not only the French fries, but also the potato specialties, it's really growing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really growing. Okay, in take Europe, we are aging, but in plenty other countries, take countries like Brazil, and people really like the French fries, and so there's a lot of opportunities worldwide still.
And I worldwide is the key. The opportunities are worldwide. There's not one region. If you're focusing on any one region in this industry, you're missing out.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, Mark, it's been very interesting talking to you about PEF technology. Is there anything else that you would like to share with potato processors that we haven't touched on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for a lot of potato processors, there's still a lot of room for improvement. Still a lot of room for improvement. And one of the tools can be PEF. And they should explore it a little bit more in detail. And not only be happy if the cutting is enhanced. No, try to improve your whole line. I mean, you can increase your line yield with 1-2%. Yeah, that's really substantial. But then, it needs some attention. I think today you can say, when you take a line, a French fry line, and you optimize your steam peeler, you have a PEF unit and the PEF unit is working well. 3, you optimize your cutting. Then you can obtain the highest yield for your entire line. Of course, the functioning of the other equipment in the line is also important. Your fryer must run normally to good, your dryer, etc. But if these 3 functions, your steam peeler, your PEF, and your cutting, if you optimize that, that's really the basis to have an optimal result in your whole line and do it better than your competition.
Mm-hmm. Well put.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mark. Where can listeners find out more about you and PEF technology?
For example, look at our website, the PulseMaster website. That's our digital brochure.
Mm-hmm.
So when they Google PulseMaster, then they can find our website and they can contact us if they feel like.
Perfect. We'll be sure to link that in the show notes as well. Well, thank you very much, Mark. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today.
You're welcome, Mike. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
You too. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, subscribe so you don't miss future shows. And of course, share it with a friend. And please leave us a review or rating. Your feedback really helps us bring you the best possible potato content. Be sure to check out the Tater Talk Podcast YouTube channel and other social platforms. To learn more about me and how I help potato processors grow their business, check me out on LinkedIn or at www.projectsconsultants.com. That's PROJEX consultants.com. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon, but until then, eat more fries.